All right, guys, how we doing this morning? It's Wednesday, the 17th of April. So after that exchange we had over on the Discord amongst members here, I think we start testing out this new format here. I like it. It's good suggestions, and we're always open to ways that we can improve things for the member experience. So I kind of like this. So the idea being that we'll vote on one pair, then I'll pick one, but more importantly, we'll do some more follow-up, and we'll kind of take these trades through entry. We'll maybe offer up some trade management. You know, of course, it's different for every person, right? With different risk profiles, different account sizes, different exchanges. But we'll do the best we can to see if we can put some structure to that. So it would become less about the current analysis and more about analyze. If there's a trade entry that is created and filled, then we'll manage through that. So it'll be a combination of trade management and then some just the analysis as we go through. So for example, if someone did not participate in that trade, doesn't mean there wouldn't be another opportunity to get onto it. So I think we'll look to do that and track maybe 7 or 8 of the majors here on an ongoing basis. So look forward to that. So staying consistent with that, the winner in terms of the polling today as the members' choice here is Cardano. Now this is interesting, right? They do have an event going on. There's some expectation that could create some news coming out of that. So could this move here be some anticipation off of that? Certainly, right? Now the longer count, shit, man, I don't know that it really matters here. If I pull out, we've got, let's see, coming all the way down here. I think we can trade this we can treat it as a WXY. This fits better as an ABC than as an impulse. So I think barring to retest of the lows, that this is not an unreasonable way to look at this low down here. But really what we're after is do we have a good low? Do we have the ingredients now here to come off of that low? You put it in this context, starts to look pretty good. Now, what are we sitting at here? 8 cents. 8 cents. So here's the proposed low here. Now I'm going to scrunch back in a little bit. This is a few tricky bits here. Question, right? Are we done here? So this, even if you look just something simple like using the Elliott oscillator to try and identify where your wave 3 is. Now this is just barely higher here. So immediately you want to think, okay, wave 3. Well, but then you got to get the subdivision to work. Now this is a bit of a question mark here. So partly of what's influencing that is just as you guys have seen me do hundreds of times. Well, if I've got, so I think the impulse off the low here is fairly solid, right? The 3, 4, 5 solid. It's a little bit of a dig for the 1, 2. Do we have a double bottom here and then a very skinny 1, 2? I think you can lean into this as the 1 and not get overly concerned about that little micro subdivision here. It's the reasonable probability here that we've got a 1, 2. Now the subdivision here, yeah, it's so I do this both ways. So off of the absolute low here, if this is my 1, I'm looking for my high probability zone, just kind of as a guideline. Well, here we are. Here's the 1618, 175. We rip right through it. So I've got an extension. Potentially now we have an extension here. If we get beyond the 2618, then we can confirm that. So we're not to the 618 yet. Right? So we're not out of the bounds of a typical wave 3, just lower percentage of the time we're going to make a 2618 rather than a 1618. So I like this as a contender for the 3rd, and then working into that subdivision. Well, you've got limited choices here based on where we see retracements, but this helps a little bit, I think, at least as an initial location. Here's our high probability zone for our wave 3. That's right where we get our pivot. So just at first glance, until we get some more information here, I think this is a reasonable count here. Subdivision, this here, you're going to have a very shallow 2 and then 3, 4, and 5 to get that to complete. It's not ideal, but it's there, right? So we're in this channel. So where are we within that channel? Well, you got to dig in here a little bit. So you can get a 3 into the A. We can get a 3 here. So we can get a flat here. We can get a 3, 3, 5. Well, that implies if that's the case, if this is what we've got here, if we're gonna have an ABC into this and then a little ABC here into the B, well then we got to get 5 here, so this has got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where are we going? I am on a 4-hour here. Let's go down to the 1, see if there's any help here just on trying to dig into the subdivision. I think the alternate here is that we've got a WX, right? So you can see, well, this is a bit of a challenge up here. Right, so here's the high. You might have, yes, it looks like you could do it here. So looks like we can get a diagonal in here. 5 right there. Okay, so we might rethink this here now upon closer look. So I think we might have it this way. So now as I dig in here a little bit closer here, so this looks like we can go A, B, C. So I can get a W. I'm going to change this to a W. Well, shit. Let's do it this way. So let's go A, B. Oh shit, where are you? Where are you? C over here. All right, let's look at that. So here, perhaps the Elliott will be helpful to us. So A, B, I got a clear diagonal coming down, so that gives me my W. So let's play this out here. Come down here. So do I have it? No, let's get it here. Okay, so W, X. Now we need an ABC. All right, so looks like there's an A, so that looks like it can play here. So we've got A. Have to go B here, so we need a C down here to make that work. So this would give us our Y, a candidate here for the larger 4. We'd be down here at the 23. So that could play here. So we'd have A, B. Now we need to come down here. That's a contender for a 1, 2. So we got maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that to get us down to this range. That seems reasonable. Now let's scrunch this back up and see how that looks. So W, X, the ABC is there for the X, so I don't hate this. Okay, so 1, let's look at that retrace. So from the 2 here, a couple of ticks off of the golden zone. Now, if that's A, you got kind of a gnarly ABC. Can you get that? Yeah, shit. I want to do this. Here, come here. I want to zoom in on this. Can I get a true 1, 2? Yeah, I guess I can. So we've got to do that ABC like this. So we got to go A, B, and you got to get the C here. Looks like it's there. 1, 2, 3. There's a deep 4, and then up for the 5. This looks solid for our 1. That's reasonable. Okay, so we've gone fairly deep here. This 1, 2, 7, 8, 6. Not outside of the bounds here. So just having worked through that a little bit, I think we're too soon on the buy side here. Now, of course, right, guys, I understand, right? We could do this, right, while I'm recording this. But if we're just looking for the high probability zones to set up a trade here, I don't think we're ripe yet. I mean, sure, you can roll the dice here. We take advantage of maybe some algo participation here. So if this is going to be here, so we've just hit the 618. So if this algo is going to get its target, that puts us up here. I don't know that would. We might be reallocating the B up here, and then so we'd have to then you'd be looking at more of an A, B, C in that fashion here. But until that's realized here, well, so I know that's hard to see, but you can see, I guess, from one golden zone here to the next golden zone, right? So we just got an algo fib fight, right? 2 algos battling it out here, right? Right. So. Guys, we're beyond like wondering, that's so unusual that it would stop there, right? We know what's happening there. So there's just algos battling it out there. So to A, B, C. So I want to be a buyer here, but I'm gonna wait for that. So with this established here, this is our little fib fight. Yeah, so you guys know I'm a bull. I'm always looking for the right spot to get long here, but this is just doesn't quite look like we're there yet. So either we're going to come out of this here, we're going to get enough of a kick to where we can say, okay, the low perhaps is in here, and this is just sort of an ugly. Jesus, I don't even know that you can get a diagonal here. This is just too unclear to me. All right, it's not that I'm itching to be a buyer. But let's put the whole thing back together. So if we've got this correctly, maybe I have to go to a 2 hour here. If we've got this correctly identified, we're looking for the 4. So from my larger degree, on the assumption that I've completed my third up here, which I think is reasonable, seeing what's come off of that. Well, I'm looking for my 4. So any of these targets down here, well, the obvious, right? Here's the 50. But the high probability, we're in that zone. But if this is going to finish, if we're going to finish down here, we're going to get this 3, 4, 5. That all looks like it needs to be a little further down. That gives us the WXY. So the 50, right? Again, just can we use the Elliott to fit in with where we know we're likely to get an algo to participate? So looking left, just looking at our volume profile here. So I've got, this is visible range. So we don't have a lot of support here, right? As this move was just parabolic. So here's the base. And now if we can hold here, I know that's impossible for you guys to see. Let me clear some of this up so I can make this point here. All right, so if I just go to visible range, so we're just going to look at what's here. So do you see all of this? Right, this is the point I'm trying to make. Just there's no structure here. There's no support here. And that's all. So all we're looking at is the volume profile in that move. Well, here's the base. Here's the parabolic move, and so there's very little support here. So if this starts to come down, we've got a few little nuggets here where we might look for maybe some participation here. We might find some longs that will be looking to defend there. Now, if we squeeze in a little bit and start looking left, there are a few spots here that look interesting. Well, of course, look where we're sitting right here on this pivot. So the market, and then now as I bring in, do you note here, so as I've got visible range, as I bring in, can I get it? More data here, this starts to solidify right here. So you can see we're kind of sitting right here at this volume node here where we have high volume. So this kind of got my attention here. So if I'm just grabbing to grab this low. Do you see I'm just grabbing this low right here? So I'm just using this pivot here as a potential area. Now if I draw that, bring that all the way across, right on that pivot, let me get that. You see how we line up right here with this node that I just drew? So here's our high volume node and we're sitting right there. So there's potential here, but the subdivision here, I just don't think we're done yet. So let's take this off. Okay, so if we're going to come down, so all I'm doing is just grabbing the 2 to the 3. Right? So where's our high probability zone? Well, we're sitting in the middle of it here, and we do have some market acceptance here. But the subdivision, so it becomes a question of how much do you want to lean into the Elliott, or are you just chomping at the bit to be a buyer here? I think you've got to be a little bit cautious here because there's not a clean. So that 5 is solid. So we're finishing something here. So if we're finishing, so this, it's what are the choices here? So if this is A, B, C, well, I can't, I don't think there's a triangle here. So it just looks like, unless we get more action coming out of here, and we come out of here with some gusto here, and then get a retracement, this just doesn't look like it's done yet. Now, so how do you reconcile that with the fact that we've got this event going on, the anticipation, right? So people are watching for Cardano to be releasing some information that would be supportive to the market. Unlikely that they're going to hold this event and release bad news. So we're sitting here at 8 cents. The 680 is at your 50. I don't think you need to be in a hurry to be long here, right? This subdivision doesn't really support it. At the very least, you'd want to see a break of that channel. All right, so I want to get bullish too. The other thing here that I notice, and this is just something that you kind of run into. So you're trying to get some geometry on it. Well, we're way too parabolic for a median line set, right? We'd have to be putting on, so maybe the median line comes in play here, but we'd have to be putting in the 2, the 3. Now, yeah, could that have some influence? Sure. So for example, you could do it this way. We could put on the, we put the 200. Oh, look at that. All right. So the 200 gets it to the tick. All right. So these 3 could very well be in play here. You know, the other thought is here, since we've got, oh, that is kind of interesting. So let's, let me change that real quick. So that's a little bit more pronounced. Let's get that in, oh shit. What do I want? I want blue here. Okay, so let's put that in blue. Okay, so interesting. All right, so 1, 2, we catch that running parallel. That's pretty significant. So here's my median line. So I would certainly keep this on. Or I typically I'll have two charts on anything that I'm really looking at trading. And I'll have either a bullish or a bearish or an alternate and a primary. So if I look here, I'd keep that on. But I do also think this is worth looking at as well. So when you have that kind of parabolic move like this, and we've only got the 1, 2, 3, we're waiting for the 4. I'll take the channel from the 1 and the 3, bring that down to my 2. Well, here's my 2. So which one are you going to use? This pivot or this pivot? Well, technically you need to use this one. So that would mean what we've got here is just a running parallel. Got that. There's easier ways to do this. You just draw it on the channel so you can get the parallel, but you get the idea here. So so down here, this looks, I love it here, love it. Because that would let me finish this. If this is an AB and we're going to come down in a C, you know, but again, so we're talking about a buy here at 7 cents versus a buy up here at 8 cents. All right, so I just don't think there's enough clarity here as to where we are. That doesn't look like we could be done here. So what I would do, I would just have alert. So I'd have alert on the 38. Now we've already tagged the 38 once as we came down to the A wave. As you can, oh shit, you guys can see that. So here's the A wave. If we're proposing that the ABC is in here, and then we've gone X, and now when we're second A, well, here's the A, there's the B. We're waiting to finish the C. So I'd be cautiously kind of watching. So I wouldn't be I think ready to jump on the 38, but the 50 looks very interesting. And then we've got a little structure here that might come into play. We've got a little low volume node there. So this area looks like that's interesting to me. So it doesn't quite fit, right? So I'm sure, you know, people are looking, but careful of the bull trap here. So the slightest little hint of whiff of some good news or some announcement or something comes out, careful here now of a bit of a bull trap, because it becomes a question of how much emphasis do you want to put on your Elliott count? Well, even if we're, you know, what else? So let's just say you said, okay, fuck the Elliott. Let's just say, where's an algo? Well, of course, dominant swing low, swing high. We know there's going to be algo at the 50. Is there maybe on a lower degree? We can just, where's the last decent retracement I've got? It's really right here. In between. You know, I mean, I can only tell you what I would do. This is just not quite there enough for me to be planning a trade around that until we get down to this 50. Now, Cardano, right, this is, you know, one of the majors. Could you be a buyer down here at 8 cents? Are you likely to have real problems with that in the long term? It's not likely. But if you're trying to be technical in the approach here, I'd wait for the 50. Now, if it doesn't play out that way, we come down here and we start to go, there'll be some retracement, because at this point we're trying to finish the 5th. That's all we're trying to do, is get the 5 up here. So there, we got a target up here at 11 cents, but all that's going to do is complete. Well, you can think of it this way. All right, so let's say we're wrong here. I'm completely wrong. This is just going to rocket out of here. We're coming out of here, we're going up, and that's a reasonable target, right? So just look at the symmetry there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be like just a gorgeous impulsive structure. So this turns out to be some sort of weird sideways 4. The 4 goes in here. Okay, you missed the move from 8 cents to 11 cents. All right, well, sure, that sucks. But what are we going to be doing at that point? All we're doing is completing the 1 wave. So we know there's a reasonable expectation. I'm just going to use the absolute low here to this proposed high, that we'd be looking to be a buyer down here at 7 cents. So it just becomes, again, we don't know that that's exactly what's going to happen. But there's a reasonable expectation if we complete that impulse. Again, it comes back to how much weight do you want to put into an Elliott count and what to anticipate if and when we complete this impulse. Well, if we complete the impulse, right, bulls can feel better about things, because I don't think. See, this is where I and some of my senseis, training coaches, we disagree here. So my view is the longer we sustain over here, the more we disconnect this swing from the prior swings. Now, I could be completely wrong here, but that's my view and why I'm bullish across all of crypto. I think this is taking long enough here. We're disconnecting from the prior swings. This is becoming its own swing. Whether I'm looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, all of the majors. Right? Of course, I could be wrong, of course. But my view here is that we're all trying to finish an impulse off of the low. If we can get up here and finish something, we're just going to set up the retracement that so many. You look across crypto Twitter. I've never seen so many people absolutely certain that we're going to new lows. Well, off of the swing. So we're going to break 3,200. The more I see people getting more and more convinced that's happening, the more bullish I become. So this is just my view, right? So take it for what it's worth. But I think we are very close to completely disconnecting from prior swings, and this is going to stand on its own. So if it's going to do that, I'm personally, right, I'm willing to wait for that. Right, so I'm a buyer here at 7 cents, or I want to be a buyer here at 8 cents. If this completes, there will be likely some sort of correction. I'll wait for the correction. So if I miss it here, no problem. If I get it down here, I'm content with that. But I wouldn't just buy it and hold it and say, okay, well, now I'm long and I'm putting that in my luggage and I'm just going to stay long in Cardano. Because why? If we got up here to that level, if we got up to 11, 12, 13 cents, right? Why risk the cyclical nature of the market? Why risk giving back 50% of it, right? That's what you'd be anticipating, is a 50% retracement to get the larger one too. That's how I would do it, for what that's worth here. So it's going to be interesting to watch how this unfolds, right? So what happens coming out of this 2-day conference, and how do we come down? How do we deal with the lack of real structural support here if we're going to come down and finish this correction? Okay. That's what I see, guys. Okay, back to you in a little bit.